What's happening, y'all? Thanks for tuning in to the Crash Bang Boom podcast. Today's guest is drummer Danny Grossarth of Candiria and Doomsday Morning. Danny had some big shoes to fill this year, an original Candiria drummer and metal fusion shaman, Ken Shalk. But he has not only made the transition seamless, he even managed to add his own flavor into Candiria's uber-diverse catalog. We talk about the challenges of learning pre-existing material, the early years of playing, our favorite heavy albums of the year, and the magic combination of weed and lasers. Oh, and much, much more. So enjoy. Crash Bang Boom! Here with Danny Grossarth, standing at about, let's say, what, 6'4" are you?
6'5".
6'5"-ish. I'm going to go with the reach of, let's say, 82 inches, something like that. Something, you know.
My wingspan left to right, fingertip to fingertip, is about, I think it's something close to like 7 feet.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be your height, but I just got those monkey arms.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, and I guess if weight-wise, I'm going to go with about $1.25 soaking wet with gravel in your pockets.
Yeah, mostly the gravel, though.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking hey, man, thanks for sitting down with me, man. I've been digging the Candiria record. Congrats for getting on that. That's super cool. I know y'all did the Burrow tour. You just did another tour. The album was released in, was it October of this year?
October 7th, yeah.
Nice. So cool, man. We got tons to talk about. Let's start with let's see, the 5 Burrow tour. That was the first one that y'all did, right? And y'all had a video for that as well that Frank Godla did of Metal Injection.
Yeah, that was an awesome video. That was right around the record release, which was October 7th.
Yeah.
And it didn't really feel like a tour as much as it really was a tour. I mean, it
Right.
was like pretty much 5 consecutive shows. We had one break in between.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, we were coming home every night. This is our city, you know. But I actually, on that day off that we had, it was the second to last day of that stretch. And I'm like, I kind of want to just crash out somewhere and hit up a hotel and, like, keep this vibe going. So it was kind of weird to come home for that one day. But it was awesome.
That's really cool, man. And y'all did, what were the boroughs? You did all 5 boroughs? Was that the deal?
We did everything, yeah.
Okay, nice. What was the venue? Where'd y'all play in the Bronx?
Oh, the Bronx. Oh, man. It was actually right over the Throgs Neck Bridge.
Okay.
I live in northern Queens. It was like a 10-minute drive from me. I can't believe I don't remember. It was a very strange place to have a Candiria show. Billy Club Sandwich played. Circuit of Suns played. That kind of energy was very hard to contain. Uh-huh. And that place was bursting. I mean,
really?
It was insane, yeah.
Is that some of the footage that ended up in the video?
A lot of that, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That's what I was thinking about that. Nice. Well, yeah, I'll make sure to put a link so people can check out that video.
That video for The Whole World Will Burn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The song in which
awesome
you played
video.
on.
Yes, that was one of the ones that I'm lucky to have been able to play on, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a super cool track. There's no shortage of them, and it's interesting. I was listening to the album in its entirety, and it struck me, and I'd actually spoken to you some time ago when you played maybe even your first Candiria gig. Was that at Lucky 13's?
Yeah, that was, I think it was April 7th,
okay,
2015.
Okay, I was at that gig, and I spoke to you about it, and I asked you briefly. I was saying, man, how the hell did you nail, on some of the early stuff How did you? I was just asking you how you nailed those parts and you knew how to play that stuff, and you kind of alluded to the idea that you'd known Ken throughout the years and kind of schooled yourself heavily on Candiria back in the day. So it was in a little bit of your muscle memory to some extent.
It was. Yeah, I mean, I've been a huge Candiria fan since I was 15. Just turned 34.
Congratulations, by the way.
Just 2 days ago.
Thank you, old motherfucker.
Yeah. Youngest guy in the band, though. Shh, don't tell him I said that. Yeah. No, but it was since I was 15. I was a huge fan. Knew them throughout high school. I was practically like the Candiria guy in high school.
Interesting.
I was able to, air drum all the parts. I mean, I just discovered them as a young drummer, like just getting into bands like Rage Against the Machine and like Incubus and stuff.
Yeah.
Primus, and maybe even some more abstract stuff.
Sure.
But I mean, when I heard Candiria, I heard Faction first. We were like going to a bowling alley with a bunch of friends, and my friend's older brother was driving us, and I literally had to tell everyone to get out because I was going to listen to I like begged his older brother to sit with me, and I forced him to listen to Faction like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
While everyone else went bowling. Eventually, I caught up with them, but I was hooked, and I just learned as much as I could. I mean, there was so much to get from those records,
Yeah. And I guess at which point did you meet Ken Shalk, the original drummer?
Early on. I mean, the first time I met them, they were all very affable guys, very friendly
totally.
guys. I mean, we were a mere, maybe 16. Right. First time I saw them was at Voodoo Lounge in Bayside of Bell Boulevard, which is a place it's not around anymore. But
what year are we talking?
I think that was like 97 or 98.
Wow.
A while ago. And
going on 20 years.
I still have some of those stickers that they gave us that night.
Damn.
They were very nice. But I saw them then. I mean, I said what's up a couple times at shows. Eventually me and George, the singer of my other band, Doomsday Morning, would always just go up to them, make sure we made a point to just talk to Ken and be like, he was also very outgoing.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows Ken. Very cool guy. And he was always willing to kind of just like, drop some wisdom on us as, wide-eyed young teens.
Right.
Clearly in high school, coming to Candiria shows obsessed. So he was really cool. We had our own band, emulated Candiria in every possible way.
Really?
And eventually we, sparked a conversation with Ken about recording, and he was all about it. And that's how I really got to know the guy, and
Oh, so he like engineered or like one of your albums?
Yeah, the previous band was called Stifling Neglect.
Okay.
From Queens.
Gotcha.
Where I'm from.
And that was the Candiria inspired band?
And that was a Candirian inspired band. Yeah.
And then recording with the drummer of Candiria?
It was a total
circle.
trip. And it was really cool. I mean, he could tell the similarities, I think, and he kind of like, I felt like he saw the potential, and we had a lot of fun recording, and we must have done 7 or 8 songs, all in individual sessions. We never recorded more than one song at a time.
Oh, God.
So that we got to spend a lot of time with him and his brother, Steve.
Y'all did
great musicians, great engineers.
Y'all did like 7 or 8 separate sessions and did like all the instrumental tracks just in one session and did one song at a time?
Well, no, we did one song at a time, but we did like the drums, the bass, the guitars, the vocals, and all the weird zany effects and everything for just that one song in any stretch of session.
And then
for
you would
that
move
week
on?
Or month. Well, pretty much, and it would be weeks in between.
Dude, that's a pain in the ass. I would never agree to that shit.
We were so foolish, but you know what? Ken and his brother were just opening up their recording studio in Far Rockaway somewhere, which was an awesome place, awesome vibe, and they had some great gear, and it was just like a haven for great ideas. And as much as they wanted to experiment and kind of like mess around with their own tools and their own setup, we were also young and immature musicians who were just saying, we just want to do everything, squeeze it all together. And in hindsight, I'm not really regretful of the writing process because we just got to include all of these weird experiences, and I learned so much on so many weird instruments.
Right.
In the vein of a Candiria recording process. I always imagined it like that.
So after y'all recorded that record, did you continue your relationship with Ken, and did that band end up playing with Candiria at any point?
We did, yeah. Towards the end of our live show playing career in that band, we played one show at the North 6.
Okay.
With Candiria, and that was really cool. But yeah, since then, I just kind of kept in touch with him, since their crazy accident.
I guess the people who Johnny talked a little bit about it, but that was did a 18-wheeler hit them, or
it was a big truck. They got rear-ended by an 18-wheeler, off of I forget upstate, I think somewhere, on their way to some other gig, and needless to say, there was a lot of turmoil and a long band hiatus that occurred after that, and I made sure I kept in touch with Ken. He was the main guy that I knew.
Right.
I hung out with him at his apartment a couple of times actually in the healing process.
Yeah.
That was intense.
I bet
they really got beat up.
Yeah, they did.
But no, I made sure to keep in touch. Social media and the internet, certainly helps when I'm not going to go to the guy's house. We always keep in touch to some degree.
Gotcha. And then I guess at one point, Ken ends up moving to L.A., right?
Yeah, Ken's in L.A.
When did he move out there? Because I know he would come back occasionally and play a Candiria show, maybe one-off every now and again. Is that what was going on?
He's been there a couple of years. I know that I actually visited him one time in L.A., maybe in 2000 and might have been 10, maybe 9 or 10. And so he's been out there since then. And I know that the most definite time that I know that he played a Candiria show, even since then, was at
that Black and
Webster
Blue.
Hall.
Yeah,
the Black and Blue show.
Yeah. I saw some video from that.
Yeah, it was sick.
Flash forward to them deciding that, I guess, if they wanted to go forward with it with Ken being on the West Coast, how did your name pop up, and how did you get the news for that? How did that work out?
So that was pretty much I became friends with the Candiria Facebook page. I guess long after they stopped playing shows, I just figured, hey, it exists. Right. So why not just click like? So out of nowhere, they kind of posted something that was kind of, interesting. They said something like a storm is brewing and, something yet to come or something like that. And I was like, oh my God. So I immediately just texted Ken, and I'm like, as a fan, I'm like, dude, I'm so excited. Are you guys coming back? This is going to be awesome, man. I'm so pumped. And, Ken in California, I don't know what the other guy's situation was, but he's like, look, I'm out here. The rest of the guys are in Brooklyn. I just really don't know if it's going to be feasible for me to be their main guy right now,
Yeah.
But you should give them a call. I'll put in a good word for you. And I was like, oh my God, I almost crapped myself. I left work early that day. Don't tell my boss. I left work early that day, went home, recorded a video upon John's request of me playing one of the songs. I think I did 3 times again, or Blood or something.
And that was something, did you have to refresh yourself on it, or did you pretty much sit down and you had it?
I had to refresh. I had to set up my drum kit. It had been laying around from some previous show. I was kind of lazy at the time. And then I just got this wave of inspiration. I went home, I set up my kit. I got the rust out, and it took me a couple of takes. I didn't just sit down and play 3 times again.
Right.
That song twists and turns a lot, but eventually I got a good enough take, and when I sent it to them, I felt like John and Mike and Carly, I think maybe they were all in the same room watching it, and he texted me. He's like, dude, we all just enjoyed watching your video. We should book a rehearsal.
Really? And
we picked maybe a couple songs to kind of, meet with. We met in the studio, and I'm not going to say I just, sat in Ken's throne, and just filled those shoes right away. It took a little time, but I think that, I inspired them enough to keep pushing forward and be like, I think this can happen. I think this can work. Yeah. And I'm glad I fought for that.
That's amazing, man. And a pretty kind of just chance encounter via viewing a Facebook page and then just reaching out, and then all the chips fall where they may. That's crazy.
That post might have been posted for maybe 10 seconds before I texted Ken, I swear.
That's amazing, man. Were there any particular songs that they were like, we really need to play this if we're going to go forward? Or was there one that you were like, I really want to play this to see if I can do it?
Totally. I have my fan favorites. They've always been, since I started meeting up with them, really into the spirit of making sure we play some old classics.
Right.
We dig back as far back as we can go.
Yeah.
With the playing style and, lyrical content, exactly. Whatever that allows. But we try to make sure, even still now practicing, we're like, what old song are we going to add now?
Yeah.
But I think to start, maybe they were going a little easy on me. Not that it's an easy song, but Blood is not like Faction.
Right.
You know, I think we started with Blood, and we actually didn't even go forward with 3 Times Again at that time. For whatever reason. But Primary Obstacle was something that they were like, all right, make sure you have Primary Obstacle. I'm like, oh, great. Oh, okay. Just Blood and Primary Obstacle.
Did you reach out to Ken at any point in that to ask him any questions about what he was playing, or were you able to pretty much figure it out?
It wasn't really a matter of like, what are you playing? It's more a matter of maybe like, what are you counting? You know, like It's like I can play it. Maybe I can like memorize your move and the weird.
But how does that work?
Twirling drum fill. Yeah, it's like if I were to be the leader of, I can air drum all day, you know, and like tap on my lap or maybe even play along to like the record on headphones. But when it came down to being the tempo leader during a Candiria song, Ken has a lot of responsibility, and you got to know. And when those guitarists are looking at you and the bassist, you know, they're all just like, okay, where are we? Where's this next little twist?
Right.
You gotta know what you're doing, and that's kind of
I think it's funny you said the twist. One of the strangest things to my ear, or one of the things that I would think would the more complex aspects of the Candiria stuff, especially the early stuff, is there's 2 things. What sounds like to my ear is that there are tempo changes from part to part that can be fairly drastic. But in addition to that, there are weird segues and turnarounds that Ken would stick getting in and out of that stuff. And that's the stuff where I'm like, God, what is that? Like, there's some pretty confusing shit in there.
No, definitely. It's like, there's multiple levels to kind of look at it at. Like, you can either think of it as like, all right, this weird quote unquote Candiria part is a strange transition,
right?
Or this Candiria stylistic part is just a drastic tempo drop or change or something,
right?
Or a quick switch into the next riff with no transition,
right?
So between, you know, whatever they have written and have, you know, decided they were going to put into that song, deciphering how much you're going to pull from which philosophy sometimes, getting through,
of course.
You almost have to think less at times. If we at practice, we get into these zones where we're just like, wait, is it 9 and then plus
you
3?
Can go all day.
No. It's 9. You wait 1, then it's like we sometimes rack our brains, and you just after a point just got to step back and just feel it again.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I generally prefer not counting and just trying to memorize the phrase. But where it gets tough, especially in your shoes and fill in the shoes of someone else in previous recordings and whatnot, once again, the tempo changes, because tempo changes can happen subjectively, and you really have no frame of reference for them. You hear them, and that is a chemistry thing that can happen that determine that, and then trying to approximate that is devoid of like listening to a click track, for instance, and saying, all right, here's our mutual reference point, etc. It's that stuff that has got to be. I have always been bad about like. I've been in a couple of bands that I played in where there was pre-existing material and I had to learn some stuff, and maybe there were some tempo changes, and man, I'm just like, I'm terrible at it. I'm just straight up terrible at it.
It's tough, even when you have a tempo change with a click.
Right, and then if you're tempo mapping it,
I mean, if it's a change that's not like, you know, symmetrical to whatever BPM you're working with, it can be really jolting too. You know,
absolutely.
You just kind of have to have faith in that next move. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was your childhood like? When did you start playing?
I started playing, I guess, when I was in maybe, like, my interest sparked in like 4th, 5th grade. I kind of like saw the mechanics of a drum kit and like really specifically the double kick the pedal, because I can see your arms, I can see your hands, and whatever's in front of you, you can hit with a stick. But then I was like, wait a minute, you can also use your feet. And like I saw at some weird talent show at my old grammar school, some kid that was younger than me played some set with a bunch of adults. He played like a song, really simple, but his kick drum was clear. And from the audience perspective, you can see the mechanism, and I was right in the front. I was just staring at like what the kick drum was doing, and with the foot pedal, it mesmerized me. I made a bunch of test kick drum pedals out of Legos during that time. They didn't work because as soon as you hit them once, they shattered. I was trying to use like Tupperware pots and pans. Eventually, my parents, they caught the hint. I went and got myself a drum kit.
Nice.
Greatly with the inspiration of a friendly friend of the family.
Oh yeah.
One of my very good friends growing up. His dad was like ultimate musician, had a studio in the attic, drum kit,
really?
And he was always so welcoming. He's like,
come on over and play.
Come on over and play anytime you want, even if he's not home, even if your friend's not home, just
That's
come by.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were so welcoming to that. And joined the 6th grade band. Played like
that's
three.
Like the concert band.
It's like the concert band. It was really 6th grade material. It was nothing.
I did that's amazing. The 6th grade was the same year that I did the concert band as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
6th grade at my school was the first year they had it.
Oh, okay.
So I was really lucky to get on the tail end of that.
Yeah. I don't feel like I learned hardly anything. Maybe a couple of rudiments. It wasn't until later on I got in marching band and the school like jazz band, and that stuff was more challenging. But even in the marching band, because I would then go on to like befriend some guys that were like had drum corps backgrounds, and I realized, oh my god, like what I played in marching band is nothing compared to how ape shit these drum corps guys go.
Seriously, like, and the sticks that they use are like tree trunks.
Yeah,
and
I got some right there.
Oh my god, yeah, look at those things.
Yeah.
No, it's a different sound. I mean, it's a different feel.
Totally.
And it's like it's all about that you lead with that insane amount of snare drum hits that make like a note. It's like singing different notes. Like those guys are awesome.
Yeah, man. So I guess going back, so in 6th grade you did the concert band, and then what from there?
6th grade, yeah. Sorry, it was so interesting.
No, it's
how could you not want to know more? 6th grade, actually, I didn't have a drum kit yet, and the instructor said, "I can't let you be our drummer of the band without a drum set at home to practice on."
Nice.
And that was before he heard me play.
Oh wow.
So he actually let me get on the kit, and I just like murdered the other drummer. He was just like some 6th grade kid who didn't give a crap anyway.
Yeah.
And he was like, "All right, you're our new drummer," but I still had to take like another instrument to share with him. So I took saxophone. Eventually, in 7th grade, I got my first drum kit. Started like a pop punk band with some friends throughout the years, and then like I was like, "Why am I doing pop punk? I've discovered Candiria. I can start playing like different music." I'll say.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I kind of started molding that previous band, Stifling Neglect, throughout like the late high school years into early college years, and we've done some touring and stuff, and I skipped forward a lot right there. From 6th grade,
I guess you did just. So how long were you in that? How long did you have that band going then?
A while. I mean, our first show was probably in like maybe 98 or 9.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's not like that long ago, but I mean, we were in high school.
Yeah.
It was good times back then.
It was amazing playing.
Those high school shows, man.
Do you remember your first gig that you ever played? I'm sure you do.
Besides the one at grammar school, that big, the 6th grade marching band thing.
First time out playing at a venue of some kind with a band, with your band.
At a venue?
Or just wherever. Like, do you remember the first like public gig, whatever, that I guess you played?
Well, it was probably at somebody's backyard party, I think. Actually, some local Queens, like some kid who's like, my parents are away, and like him and a bunch of other bands played. But that was like maybe like building up from there. Then we played at like the basement of a church. I remember very early on in College Point, and then luckily we had places like I mentioned before, Voodoo Lounge,
right?
And even places like the Red Zone and Castle Heights. Got to mention Castle Heights was. I don't know if you.
I don't know where the fuck that is.
That's in Queens off Northern Boulevard.
Okay.
In Jackson Heights.
It
was a haven for tons of music in that
cool.
area. People would come far and wide.
Really?
It was kind of a hot spot for a while, and they Kevin booked us for he's been booking us for a long time, and I mean he was just very very helpful in the early years of he's like, you guys are a young band, let's mix it up, let's get you guys a couple shows, and shows were always awesome there.
Gotcha.
But there's those were like the localish kind of venues that were always available, like always, willing and able and open to the younger bands throughout those like early high school years and college years.
Yeah. My dad has always been good about photographing my life. So when I turned, I think 21, I guess it would have been, he gave me 4 photo albums that he had transferred a lot of the earlier stuff from actual slides. So it took him months to do it. But I guess what I'm getting at is that in those 4 photo albums, the first gig I ever played, he took a bunch of pictures. So I can go back and look at that, and like the way my drum set was set up was hilarious, dude. It was so ridiculous, man.
You look at it, you see like the drum shop like weird angles.
Oh
and
my
like,
god, my toms must have they were
90-degree toms. Yeah.
I just tearing up my heads. I was like, why am I tearing up the heads? Because I'm just playing them like that. But it was especially memorable because one, I just remember the first time I was like, man, I really love playing out, and I just felt like it was like an out-of-body experience. It was incredible, and I've been hooked ever since. But in addition to that, what made it really memorable was that it never snows in New Orleans, and it snowed that night. So, like, we played, we were like, bro, like, high-fiving, best time ever. Then we rolled out, we're like, it's fucking snowing out here.
Oh, wow. It's like an episode of The Simpsons, that old one.
It was
That's
super
cool.
weird. Yeah, man. Tell me about your other band that you have going on right now.
Yes, Doomsday Morning.
Yeah.
Also from Queens.
Okay.
While I kind of always, I'm grateful and lucky to be in this Candiria, situation right now as their drummer, and I really revere them as like my older brothers.
Yeah.
We're very close now.
Playing in a band you were so influenced by.
Yeah, but they're like a little bit older than me. They're such amazing musicians. I've always looked up to them. I always will. They're like my older brothers. While Doomsday Morning, they're my brothers. They're like my peers,
right?
Like my equals in a sense. Love those guys. We're much more, still super heavy. I think we're a little bit more on the Meshuggah side of things. I like it. I have heard. I've always thought this, and I've mentioned it, but I like it when people say that we kind of sound like a New York version of Meshuggah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Not to be like, oh, you're just trying to sound like another band. Hey, my old band was trying to sound like Candiria.
Maybe I'll just sound like Meshuggah, but you have New York accents, and then that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're like Meshuggah B-side material with the New York accent.
Yeah, exactly. That's fucking funny, man. And you've been doing that band for how long?
Since about 2010.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, a couple of EPs, full length. We actually have an EP, maybe a full length. Things are going really well in the studio, but right now we have this solid EP that we look forward to putting out real soon. It's super creepy and dark and weird and heavy and very groovy. We're all about that head nod, neck twist kind of thing.
Oh yeah, when I saw Meshuggah, I saw you at that gig. I hadn't seen him in a really long time, and I'll also convey my ridiculous Thomas Hake story as well. But it really is killer what they do, because no matter how strange I think the intellectual side of it is with all the time signatures and everything, they still make it a point to drive as many quarter notes as possible. Yeah. So you can still nod your head to it. And the whole time I was just, it's like this phrase can be super long. I don't quite know when it wraps around or how they work it out. But I know I was nodding my head to that shit for like an hour and a half.
It's great. At that show, I was there with my wife, Robin.
Yeah.
And, she's not so much a metalhead. She knows, she gets it. She understands. I've showed her a lot.
You picked a perfect genre or two bands to play with for someone who's not into metal. Trust me, I know. My wife's the same.
Yeah.
She's
I felt like it was a
a
good crash course. Here you go, Candiria and Meshuggah. But no, she came to the show and she's seen it get really brutal. I mean, I feel like Doomsday Morning kind of has more played with like that real, real gritty type of crowd.
Right.
It gets active out there.
Yeah.
And she's been to a couple of those shows, and I've always tried to warn her. I'm like, stay back, or, hang out on the side, or just come out on the stage with me.
Yeah.
But at Meshuggah, she's like, oh, great. What's going to happen at this show? Oh, my God. Are we going to get, like, flattened or beaten up or something? I'm just like, honestly, there's going to be a bunch of metal nerds. And, like, mostly from where we're going to stand, it's going to be a bunch of, like, metal nerds, so to speak, just kind of staring at Meshuggah nodding their heads in unison.
Right.
You know, everyone's just going to have that same head nod throughout the entire set, and I think we're going to be safe.
And you were right. And in addition to a bunch of metal nerds nodding their heads, there was definitely a lot of weed being smoked. I was over like on the floor to the left.
Oh, sorry about that, man.
So yeah, all that weed you were smoking, man. Just getting the whole crowd high, just rolling blunts constantly throughout the hour and a half set.
It's great that the security tends to turn the blind eye.
It is great. It is great. I was definitely a fan of it, and it just seeing them, because when I saw them, they played at the House of Blues in New Orleans with Sick of It All went on after them, and then Slayer went on after them. And this was a long time ago. I actually looked it up and was able to find the date because I was trying to remember how long ago. But it was like 20. I think it was like 20 years ago.
Wow.
It was a really long time ago. But they weren't at all. You know, there was still like Destroy, Erase, Improve era Meshuggah, really. I feel like.
Yeah.
So they've just musically where they've gone since then. But then now that crazy laser light, insane synced up show that the whole thing
really
they got
intense
going on.
With all the weed smoke in the air. You can see all those lasers right through that. Yeah, it's crazy. It kind of helps, man.
Exactly. It absolutely does. So you want to hear my strange Thomas Hake story?
Yes.
So Meshuggah did a listening party across the street here at St. Vitus, and I went over to it, and I saw him. And 20 years ago, I was in the Meshuggah fan club. I don't remember if I've told the story in the podcast. I don't think I have. And they had a contest, and they were like, write a paragraph describing our band. So at the time, like I didn't have a computer. I just it was pretty much I feel like pre-internet. So I just on like one loose leaf paper, and I'm sure my spelling to this day is fucking atrocious. I'm sure it was just, I mean, they're Swedish, so they were maybe like, oh, it's like, who knows what they thought. But in any case, so I snail mailed this loose leaf paragraph describing their music to Sweden from Louisiana. And like a month or so later, I get a package in the mail, and it's like, you won the contest or whatever. I still to this day don't remember what I wrote. It's not like I had a copy of it. I don't have a file to where I can revert.
20 years ago, they didn't post it on Facebook.
No, exactly. Like, I still to this day don't fucking remember what I wrote. But they sent me like these funny pictures of them and an autographed CD, which I still have like right over there. But I saw him, so I was like, I gotta ask this motherfucker if how many people actually won this thing. So I went up to him and I was like, say man, like 20 years ago, y'all had this contest, the description in that one. And he's like, yeah, I remember that. And I'm like, man, how many people won that thing? And he's like, I think only one person won. And I was like, well, I think I won it. And he's like, did we send you a picture of us like on a blue Volkswagen Beetle? I'm like, yeah, you did. He's like, you were the fucking one that won it. And I'm like, God damn.
I thought you were going to say like, oh man, it turned out that your letter turned out to be the lyrics of Nothing or something like that.
That would be incredible.
You know?
Oh shit. Yeah. If I had a copy that I could go back to it, because doesn't Thomas Hake write the lyrics for that band?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think he has a big part in the lyrics.
He might have jacked my shit.
You know, that's what I'm saying, man.
Damn. All right. Well, anyways, that was talk about a surreal story of me reconnecting with that, and like I had kind of forgotten about it, and then I saw him. I was like, wait a minute, I guess I should ask him about this.
That's funny, man.
It was totally ridiculous. The tour that y'all did just a few weeks ago, leading up to Thanksgiving, right? How did that go? Where'd y'all play?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. We toured with this awesome hip hop group called Dalek. They are insane. You know, they are a friggin' trip to watch live. They're so like, their music is very thick and just like heavy. You know, it's just really awesome.
But
Shout out
it's
to
like
those
hip
guys.
hop stuff, right?
It's totally hip hop.
Yeah.
Very electronic driven. You got a DJ. You know, they got some crazy pads and synths and, you know, lots of effects. It's just a big wall of music of just awesome hip hop. It's really cool. That tour was sick, man. It was unique. I've never been on tour with a hip hop group.
Right.
So there was that. But it was kind of weird because we set the tone for the tour. It was election night.
Oh, wow.
Now, we don't have to get political, but we started the tour. We were in a hotel room until 3 a.m. waiting, and it just was kind of very strange because not only were we just touring like...
Was the first gig on election night?
No. The next gig. The first gig was the night after election night.
Oh.
we just had to get a head start on the tour.
Ooh.
So we were just kind of hanging out that first night, and it was just interesting because, I'm from New York. I know, I empathize with a lot of New Yorkers and that mentality, but we were definitely traveling through other states and other trains of thought. Don't have to go too deep into it, but we were even going through Canada, and we were like, oh my God, they're not going to let us in because of this, we can't play. So we ended up playing, throughout the, I guess you call it the Rust Belt.
Yes.
Up through Toronto, Montreal, and then a little bit of New England. Gotcha. It was awesome, man. Every city was amazing.
That's cool, man. My buddy, I was just down in Louisiana, obviously a very, very red state. And it was pretty much like if you took the percentage of like black people to white people, it was I think it's like 60 some odd % white, and that was pretty much the vote for Trump in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But one of the comic remedies that I had down there when I was talking to my buddy, he was like, man, you know how these fucking Trump pansies are? They're just always like ranting and raving. And I was like, damn, dude, you just said Trump pansy. That's incredible.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty fucking good, right?
Is that on the record? Is this the first time?
It is. It is.
That's pretty good.
Jesse Whiteman, you're the man. Good call, my man.
Quick shout out.
Yeah, exactly.
Trump pansy.
Exactly. That's some good shit. So all the gigs, everything seemed to be pretty cool despite the looming depression.
Yeah, no, it actually there was actually no politics, really not that much politics on tour. It was very cool. It was really more about the music and the vibes and just meeting cool people.
Right. Well, it's interesting, man. I've thought about it before because my wife has asked me about it. She's like, how did you grow up down in the Deep South and like you're more politically open and this and that and the other? And I was thinking about I actually had to think about it. She stumped me. I was like, well, I mean, I can point a few instances that were influential and whatnot, but generally speaking, with the exception of maybe like Dave Mustaine or like Ted Nugent, like the pursuit of creativity kind of requires an open mind and an acknowledgement of the influences from various cultures and from all over the world. And that's part of becoming a better human and a better artist and everything. So how can you really, if you're being objective enough, how can you condemn those people and then be influenced by them? You know?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, if you trace back the roots of, almost any genre that, hits the top 40, if you just collect all those genres, the roots go back to so many different things.
Oh yeah.
And it would be strange for any culture or, sect of people to just try to own one style or one key or melody.
Right.
I and I love world music and stuff. I don't even need to hear or understand the lyrics to be moved to tears, by some crazy opera or aria or something,
Sure.
So yeah, no, you're right. That's really good to keep that open mind. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, she stumped me with the question, and I was like, well, I don't know. I listened to Dead Kennedys, and they were like, fuck the police, and fuck the government, and fuck everybody, and I loved it, and I thought it was amazing, and maybe that had something to do with it, but I was like, you know what, maybe there's a bigger picture to this, so I actually had to think about that. So to revert back to Ken Shalk, so it's funny that you play in the band. You never took a drum lesson from him. I am still like baffled by most of the Candiria stuff. I actually took a drum lesson with Ken.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
And, he was in fact, I think it was around the time when they did that show at Webster Hall that you were talking about. If not, then it was the time before that he came into town to maybe rehearse or record or something.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I saw Johnny Lamacchia, the guitarist, who I've also interviewed on the podcast, and he was like, hey, Ken will be in town. Would you like to take a lesson with him? And it's funny because I would say, of course, I've seen you play in Candiria, and you really have that style and some of the vocabulary that Ken had, which is so foreign to me. But I don't know. So people have come up to me and been like, mentioned Ken Shalk before, and I'm like, man, I don't feel like I play anything like that guy. I hear him and I'm fascinated by it, but like whatever. Hey, it's a compliment. That's great if that's what you get from it. But in any case, I was like, yeah, I'll go take a lesson with him. And it was one of the stranger lessons, maybe the strangest drum lesson I've ever had.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So he came in and he was, I specifically wanted to talk to him about playing double bass. It's been like the most stubborn aspect of my playing forever. And I learned my right foot for, I've been playing for 25 or more years. I played heel down with my right foot. So I had to retrain 20 plus years until recently, to play up. And that's so I've had to undo a lot of things. And it was messing me up. So I hooked up with Ken, and he was like, well, just play me some double bass stuff. So I played it, and he's like, you're leaning your left shoulder because you're not ergonomically, this is all crazy what you're doing.
He's
here.
big into the ergonomics.
He's big into it.
Yeah.
So he basically made me set it up all over again. He broke my whole drum set down. And meanwhile, I was like, I was hoping to play some licks with this dude. You're breaking my whole shit down. I've been playing for like 25 quarter of a century.
He's going to start at the core, you know. He's like, we're not even sitting down yet, you know.
Exactly. And the moral of the story was, and it's something that he is right. And he said two really important things. One was that, I don't know if he ever told you this or not, but he was like, don't worry about facing your bass drum forward. No, that's something drum companies did for advertisement. That's not actually natural.
Yeah.
And he's like, turn it out this way, as if you were playing two bass drums.
Yes.
And actually try to sit where your snare is more centered and your legs are out and you're more centered. And he was actually totally right about that.
Totally.
And that actually really helped me.
Yeah. I've learned a lot from watching him, the way he's set up, you know. Maybe I guess I can count that as a drum lesson from Ken, because whenever I would, record with him, whenever I set up my kit, especially when he's like miking it, he would really want to make sure things are nice and wide. And he plays in such a big, wide, like very left to right. If you see it, like
I was about to make a joke about it because, man, you were like, your wingspan is significantly wider. You're like a fucking albatross or a condor. Yep. And he plays. I would be willing to bet he plays wider than you.
He plays a lot wider than me.
Yeah, his shit is
hi-hat
spread.
And his snare. I mean, like, he makes it look totally natural.
Right.
I personally, I feel like I move a lot like Ken while playing certain Ken-esque grooves. But my drum set is much more of a front, forward to back kit.
Yeah.
Than it is a left to right kit. Same really amount of components.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I see the way he sets up, and it's just like it's amazing watching
totally
him play
bizarre.
on this too. Yeah.
I never could quite understand. It's almost counter for someone who's so into ergonomics and who preaches that so much, that in looking at his kit, and if you sat behind it, you'd be like, this is awkward. This doesn't seem ergonomic at all. But for him, it totally is.
You mentioned having the kick drum kind of angled, and I actually learned a lot from that because I'm super tall, and when I have my double kick pedal stretched, let's say all the way out for my long legs, whatever, even my hi-hat starts to get all the way over to the left side. And sometimes wherever I'm set up, maybe in a corner, I just don't have the room to just go completely straight, and everything else becomes a little awkward. So yeah, like that angle has always helped a lot. I can, I don't have to worry about the bar of the double kick pedal hitting the rim of the kick drum either, you know? So yeah, no, that's helped a lot. Also having that, I have like a pneumatic hi-hat, the one with like the bicycle brake kind of style on it.
No.
So you can swing it around. You ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, DW makes them. They're like, it's like a foot pedal on like a little stand, and except it's a wire.
No, I have seen those.
Yeah.
And that's what you play for your main hi-hat?
That's my hi-hat, yeah.
You tall son of a bitch.
I know, because then that way I can have my double kick pedal, super wide, and then just swing that hi-hat back to where it needs to be.
That's killer.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
I don't think Ken would approve of that, though.
No. Hey, whatever, man. Whatever works for you. That's everybody's body is different. You got to figure it out one way or another, and it usually involves pain and being like, all right, one part of my body is hurting. I got to figure this out. It's
man.
Like, yeah.
On that tour, I don't know what it was. I mean, I can get away with a couple of practices a week, run through the set, maybe play a song or two, have a chit-chat in between. But when we went into tour mode, I forgot how that was like. Night after night of going into beast mode, so to speak. My hands were so blistered up. Actually, I've been meaning to share that on social media to really drive the point home. Not to sound like a crybaby, but man, it was just all raw flesh, all on my left hand only, all on that like base part of the knuckle right there.
Yeah?
Dude, I'll show you pictures. It was brutal, and it happened after the first night. So every night I had to take Band-Aids and creams and all these weird things, and it would just be hurting to the touch. My point is that playing in Candiria, especially like, maybe 10 plus songs a night after night, is a different style of playing, slamming that snare drum. It's a very dominant drum in a Candiria, song.
Yeah.
So when that comes down, man, my left hand just gets abused. And if it's not angled perfectly, like if I don't have that just right, it's just hitting in the wrong spot time and time again. It brutalized my hand. I still have a lot to learn. All along, like just the inside, essentially, the inside of the little palm part, upper palm. Damn. Yeah, it was brutal, man. I'll show you pictures. I got to develop those catcher's mitts,
Right,
eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a calloused man hand like you've been a lumberjack for a year and a half and you just did it within the span of 10
I want my
songs.
calluses to like weigh my arms down, dragging them around.
Exactly. Sand wood with your hands.
Yeah, like no, gross. I got it. Don't worry.
Yeah. So I guess going forward, what do y'all have going on? You just put out the record. Do y'all have any other tours coming up that you know of, or even any local shows or anything else?
What I know that we have, we're going to be playing a couple of gigs in January. I know. Okay. I don't want to say exactly when or where because I don't know exactly at the moment, but it's happening.
Okay.
We're gonna keep moving for sure. I know that we have something that was just posted on Facebook, and I believe it's we're playing with what I believe Fit for an Autopsy.
Okay.
Slaves BC and Zao.
Okay. What's the date?
That's February 16th,
right.
2017 at Mr. Smalls in Millvale, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
All right. I'm just making the plug right here.
All right.
February 16th, 2017, Candiria in Millvale, Pennsylvania.
All right.
With Fit for an Autopsy.
Nice.
Awesome.
You know, I was planning on putting this out in March, though, so I guess your plug's going to be fucked. No, I'm just kidding, man. Oh, are there? And you could take a second to think about it. Are there any modern bands that you've been interested in or have been lighting the fire? This has been a crazy year for a lot of really, really good releases. I feel like, especially I guess for heavy music.
Oh, totally. I mean, as far as the heavier stuff, in no order, Car Bomb just put out a sick new record.
Did you hear my interview with Elliot?
No, I started listening to it, but I actually had to run. I'm gonna check that out.
That band is just nuts.
That's what everyone. When you mention Car Bomb, everyone kind of just takes like a breath and like shakes their head in like this weird like, oh my god, like in a good way, in an impressed way, you know.
Yeah.
The new Car Bomb record, Ion Dissonance, just put out a sick record.
Who?
Ion Dissonance.
I don't think I know them. No.
Oh, they're sick.
Okay.
I think they're from Canada. I forget exactly the city, but they're insane, very technical, super brutal. Nice. I love Tesseract.
Okay.
From the UK. They're awesome. I've just been super into them lately. I always drop the band Haken, also from the UK.
Oh, yeah?
I'm dying to play with those two last bands, Tesseract and Haken.
Okay.
That's just, you know.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Out there.
Just throwing it out there. Of course, Animals as Leaders.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt Garska's fucking crazy. I saw him do he did a drum clinic at the Sam Ash over there on, I guess it's by Madison Square Garden, always, whatever. Yeah, he's crazy.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's the precision in that guy's style, man.
Yeah.
His drums sound so good too.
Yeah, he is absolutely incredible. And it's interesting too because he has a more fluent, you know, jazzy, dare I say, and he is clearly influenced by that whole like Berkeley sort of gospel chop.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he's like the Berkeley school style.
No doubt. And and the gospel chop fills and all that sort of, you know, I guess 30-second note crazy stuff.
Yeah.
He you know, rips that stuff up. He's definitely pretty incredible to watch. I think some of the records that I liked this year, definitely the Car Bomb one for sure. I really dug the Candiria record. I liked some of the more like, I guess, sort of post-hardcore, like Norma Jean and Every Time I Die. They put out some awesome records.
I heard a little bit of that new Every Time I Die. It was sick.
It's got some jams on it for sure. There's honestly, it was
Sugar, of course.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year.
Yeah,
lots of good shit.
There were a couple. Dillinger put out a new record too, which is awesome.
How did I forget that one?
How did we forget that one?
I've been obsessively listening to that one
because that record, the Dillinger, Meshuggah, Candiria, Car Bomb.
It all came out like in the same week.
They all came out in the same week, and I felt like this was like some weird perfect storm this year.
It's incredible.
And although you might even be like, oh no, it's competing, I feel like there was more of like a synergy, man. Like
there was.
You know, I don't know the numbers,
right?
But just the vibe and just everything, I felt like came together, and everyone was just talking about all the great new music out.
Yeah,
you know, and it just like seemed to just be in season. It was awesome.
That was an incredible week for sure.
Yeah.
Is there any other stuff you wanted to touch upon?
I would dare to try to shout some people out, but I'm gonna forget so many people. Shout out to my wife, Robin, the Candiria guys, Doomsday Morning, Frank at Metal Injection. You know, everybody, all the people who have actually kind of maybe watched me in a skeptical manner in the corner of a Candiria show, and then after the set came up to me and gave me props and said, "Hey man, you actually." You kind of did it, and that helped. It makes me feel really good.
I bet it does.
Keeps me going, man. that feels good. Shout out to all those people.
Fucking A. Cool, man. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, man. Best of luck going forward, and look forward to all your projects and more of Candiria and more of all the things to come.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Cool. High fives.
All right.
Thanks again for tuning in, and thanks to Danny and the Candiria crew. Check out all the links for more info on Danny, and check out the new Candiria record While They Were Sleeping, and be on the lookout for the new Doomsday Morning record out in 2017. That's all, folks. Crash, bang, boom!
Your money where your mouth is. Everywhere you go, you leave a trail of chemicals. You were my angel. We know where your demons hide.
The Coney Island in June, you don't get it, you never will. They want to see the kid in action, you can't stop the thrill. All the beats on the stage, the perfect word on the page. I'll cover up on the door, there's nothing more I can say. So I'm gonna live it up till my dying. So you can keep your diamond rings. So say it's not at all. Need you to prove them wrong. Much operator, can you hear me? Seasons don't change once again. I still will run my sleeping. What are you waiting for, Maria? What are you searching for, Maria?